Well, we're having a late season snowstorm here in Maine, and I thought I would use the opportunity to make my smoked brisket chili. A couple things about this chili. For those of you that are watching from the southern part of the United States, specifically Texas, I do put beans in my chili, and I also put corn in my chili for sweetness. So I know that that is probably not chili to your definition, but I'm just a white boy from Maine, and it certainly fits my criteria. This smoked brisket recipe is something I've come up with over the years, and what I do is during the summer when I smoke a big brisket for the neighborhood or friends and family, I save whatever's left over and I freeze it into packets. Specifically packets that look just like this. Okay, let's get into what you're gonna need for this recipe. For this recipe, you are going to need 1 pound of smoked brisket, 2 pounds of ground meat. You can use any ground meat for this. Here, I've specifically used ground beef and some sausage that I've made. This actually includes liver and heart meat in it. It's a good way to hide organ meat if you ever wanna do that. 3 medium-sized onions, 4 tablespoons minced garlic, 1 28-ounce can and 1 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I like to use the fire-roasted ones if you can find them. 1 15-ounce can of corn, 1 15-ounce of a bean blend or any bean of your choice, and then half of 1 7.5-ounce can of chipotle peppers with the sauce. And you're gonna want that sauce to cook with. Half of 1 beer, and then finally some chili seasoning. Here I'm using the chili seasoning from Meat Church. I like to add 5 tablespoons to a chili recipe this large. 4 if you want mild, 6 if you want hotter, but 5 is about right for me. First thing we need to do is measure out half this can. They do make 3 3/4 cans. For some reason, my local supermarket didn't have one today, so I'm just gonna measure it out using my food scale here. Make sure we actually get some whole peppers. Okay, that's perfect. I'm gonna set that aside. Once we have those measured out, onto the cutting board, and we're gonna cut those up. You're not necessarily looking for any kind of pattern here or any size. I just like to get them into small enough chunks that it can go throughout the entire recipe. Nor are you looking for a paste, but you just want to get it cut up real fine. That's good enough, and we'll put it back in that bowl for the time being. And we'll just set that aside, like I said. Next step is to cut up our 3 onions, and through the magic of YouTube. All right, so with all of our onion cut up, next we're gonna go over to the stove. I know this looks like a lot of onion, but it does cook down. All right, so on the stove, we're just gonna go with a medium heat, pan down, a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna add all of that onion in. And I didn't mention it before, but this is just diced onion, so cut into fairly small pieces. We're also gonna add our 4 tablespoons of garlic. I know some people like to add this towards the end of sauteing. I like to add it with. Don't know if that's the right culinary way of doing this or not, but something about garlic cooking with onions I just love. And those are 4 heaping tablespoons of garlic. I really love garlic, but you could certainly tone it down. And then lastly, we're gonna add the chipotle peppers that we cut up to that. And we're just gonna saute this up for 10 to 15 minutes. You basically just want your onions to become transparent. While our onions continue to cook, I'm going to slice up the brisket from last summer into smaller pieces. So this is all just strips that are from last year's brisket. Just gonna cut them lengthwise like that, and then just into small pieces like this. And that's what we'll add to our chili. All right, all our brisket is cut up. And again, you can see here, I just cubed that up. We'll set that to the side until these onions are done. We're gonna keep sauteing these. We've still got about 5 minutes to go. All right, so it's been about 12 minutes, and here on the other camera, you should be able to see that these onions have started to get transparent. I don't know if you can hear that though. Smells and sounds amazing. So we're just gonna put this right into the bottom of our crock pot here. Let's go ahead and do all of that. And again, I know this seems like a lot of onions, but for some reason this works. All right, those with a keen eye will notice I left the fire on. Why did I do that? Well, we're gonna go back in here with a little bit of oil. We're gonna put our meat on. So again, this is 2 pounds of ground. Use 2 pounds of ground of anything. This here is just standard ground beef. This is a sausage mixture that I make. That's one that's got the hidden organ meat in it. The sausage spices really allow you to do that, and more so when you put it in chili. There's a lot of benefits to like liver, heart meat, that sort of thing, but I personally don't like the texture. So I try to hide it in things, but I can still get those nutrients. Now, while this cooks, into our crock pot are gonna go our drained beans. Again, I just use a 3-bean blend on that. You can use any bean you want. Our corn, again, I know this is really weird, but I think it actually adds a really interesting dimension to chili, and it adds a little bit of sweetness to offset the heat. And then our 2 cans of crushed tomatoes. Again, this is a 28-ounce can here and a 14-ounce can here. And then I'm also gonna add our fire roasted diced tomatoes. Don't have to be fire roasted. Again, I think it adds something to the recipe. We'll go back over here to our meat. Let's break this up so it can cook evenly. And you just want to brown the meat. I'm gonna cook it all the way through. You could go with a little medium rare since it's gonna go into your chili, but I prefer to just cook it all the way through. We'll break that up more as it cooks. But while that cooks further, we'll add into that brisket, which is really the star of this show, that we cut up earlier. And we will go ahead and throw in our 5 tablespoons of chili seasoning. Again, if you want this a little less spicy, you could do 4. But I actually think the corn, because of the sweetness, allows you to put a little bit more heat into the chili. Now this chili, I will say, is good on its own. I've got some cornbread. That's how we're gonna eat it tonight with the Snowstorm. But it's equally good on hot dogs if you're into chili dogs. So go back to our meat. Yeah, this is coming along. All right, so we've been cooking the meat here for, I don't know, 6 to 8 minutes. You can see here I've got it all browned up and broken up. So what we're gonna do is transfer this, stop the heat. We're gonna transfer this to our crock pot. And you do wanna drain your meat. You could go over and do that. I like to just go slowly, kind of make sure I'm not getting all the liquid in. That sausage that I make is a 50-50 mixture of beef. Well, I'll say brown meat and then pork, so that's why all the liquid's coming out. You can see this recipe has been optimized for a crock pot. This crock pot's very full. And I think I had a little bit more than a pound of brisket. I think I might have screwed up when I froze that stuff and froze it in 3/4 pound packages. I don't know why I would have done that, but definitely felt like I had more like a 1.5 pounds versus the 1/2 pound packages I normally put that in. All right, so you can see here again, this is very full. One thing we're gonna do is, because this is so full and it's very chunky, we wanna add some liquid. You could add beef stock. I like to add just half of a lager to this. Then we're gonna mix it up. As this cooks down, more liquid will come out of those onions, more liquid will come out of the meat as the fat renders. So just delicately fold this together. It takes a little while to get it stirred together. Again, but you wanna go slow because it's so full. And we'll come in a couple times during the cook process and just continue to stir this up. Really, I mean, everything in here is cooked. You could technically eat it now if you wanted to, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on low temp for 6 to 8 hours and really let those flavors come together, blend. All right, like I said, we're just gonna put this top on, set our slow cooker to low for 6 to 8 hours, and I'll see you then. All right, well, it's been 6 hours. So let's see how we're doing here. This looks great. We'll give this a taste. Make sure you get a piece of that brisket. Oh yeah, that's excellent. A little bit of a kick to it. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you make this, you enjoy it just as much as we do. If you want to see another soup recipe that I made here on the channel, you can click here. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.